What is up, everybody? So I'm back and we are continuing to go over newspaper articles that were being printed at the time of Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey's arrest. This is sort of like a live timeline of events, but a live timeline of events of something that happened 18 years ago. And we are currently in December of 2005. We are figuring out that a lot of the theories that are floated around today and talked about today were being printed in the press back then. Things about Teresa Halbach possibly still being alive. Senators wanting to bring back the death penalty specifically for Steven Avery. They talked about how there was another person's DNA found at the crime scene that wasn't Teresa Halbach's or Steven Avery's. There's all kinds of information that was being printed back then. This one is from December 7th, 2005, and it's from the Janesville Gazette. Judge orders trial in woman's death. Man charged with the murder of a 25-year-old. A man who served 18 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit was ordered Tuesday to stand trial on charges that he killed a photographer at his family's auto salvage yard and then disposed of her body by burning it. 6 witnesses testified at the preliminary hearing for Steven Avery in Manitowoc County Court. Prosecutors said he killed Teresa Halbach, 25, when she went to the salvage yard near Mashot on Halloween afternoon to take pictures for Auto Trader magazine of a minivan that was for sale. In Tuesday's 4-hour hearing, Judge Patrick Willis heard from prosecution witnesses who detailed each step of the investigation into Halbach's murder. For each witness, Steven Avery's lawyers questioned the timing of what happened and who was involved, talking about the people that were searching for evidence at the Avery salvage yard and in Steven Avery's home, but weren't necessarily supposed to be there searching at all. There was quite a number of people that were doing searches on the Avery salvage yard that were not supposed to be searching at all. And those people are the ones that found most of the evidence. Avery denies any involvement and has said he thinks he's being set up by Manitowoc County so he doesn't have to pay the $36 million from the original wrongful conviction. Avery said that he and Teresa Halbach met for 5 minutes on the afternoon of October 31st. She photographed a maroon minivan, he paid her, and she left. Craig Johnson, a public defender representing Avery, said after the hearing that Avery would enter a not guilty plea at his arraignment on January 17th. Investigations are concluded by human beings, Johnson said. Evidence is gathered by human beings. Forensic testing is done by human beings, and human beings can make mistakes. Teresa Halbach's brother Mike, who wore a button with his sister's picture, said after the hearing that the evidence points to Steven Avery as the killer. I don't think about him, I think about my sister, he said. Prosecutors say the evidence against Steven Avery includes bone fragments and teeth in a burn pit near his home. Sherry Coolhan, a DNA analyst with the State Crime Laboratory, testified she developed a DNA profile from an old pap smear of Teresa Halbach's and compared it to the blood found in the back of Halbach's vehicle, and it was a match. She said she also developed a partial DNA profile from bone fragments found in the burn pit, and it was consistent with Halbach's and would be found only in 1 out of 1 billion white people. This one is from January 11th, 2006. It appears that they took a break from printing stuff, or there was possibly nothing going on in the case from December over till January, because the articles go from December 7th, 2005 to January 11th, 2006. Steven Avery taken from jail to hospital for gallstones. A man once wrongfully convicted of a crime who is now charged with killing a woman was taken from jail to hospital for gallstones, his mother said today being January 11th, but it was likely an interview that was done on January 10th, 2006. Steven Avery called his mother Tuesday morning before he was taken to Calumet Medical Center. Dolores Avery said he called back from the jail about 5 hours later to say he had gallstones. A judge had ordered Steven Avery, 43, to stand trial on charges of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, and possession of a firearm. He will enter a plea on Tuesday. His lawyers have said he plans to plead not guilty. This is from January 17th, 2006, and it is from the Janesville Gazette. Avery will plead not guilty in homicide case. Stephen Avery, who spent nearly 2 decades in prison for a crime he didn't commit, was expected to plead not guilty today to killing a woman in Manitowoc County. Stephen Avery faces charges of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, and possession of firearms by a felon in connection with the death of 25-year-old Teresa Halbach. Avery said he's innocent. This one is from January 17th, 2006, from the Madison Capital Times. Avery enters not guilty plea. He remains on $500,000 bond. A man who spent nearly 2 decades in prison for a crime he didn't commit pleaded not guilty today to killing a woman in Manitowoc County. Stephen Avery is accused of killing and burning the body of 25-year-old photographer Teresa Halbach. She was last seen October 31st at his family's salvage yard. Avery, who worked and lived next to the salvage yard, was ordered to stand trial on charges of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Manitowoc County Circuit Court Judge Patrick Willis rejected a motion from Avery's attorneys today to lower Stephen Avery's $500,000 bond, though he did say he would consider property to meet the bond. Stephen Avery's attorneys, Assistant Public Defenders Eric Loy and Craig Johnson, also filed a motion today seeking a change of venue, although Loy said they reserved their right to change their minds. The judge will rule later on the motion, and Willis scheduled a status conference for the case on March 24th. Johnson and the Avery family doesn't know whether they have enough property to put up for the bail. Halbach's brother, Mike, said after the hearing he was disappointed the judge gave Avery a better chance at posting bail. "I'm not going to worry about it," he said. Avery has continuously asserted his innocence. Calumet County is leading the investigation to avoid a conflict of interest. Boy, did that not happen. This is Calumet County Sheriff Jerry Pagel said investigators were still awaiting results from evidence tests done by the State Crime Lab and the FBI. Some evidence has been returned, but Pagel declined to comment on it and referred questions to Calumet County District Attorney Ken Kratz, the special prosecutor on the case. The Teresa Halbach's family attended the hearing today. We're definitely looking forward to the whole thing being over with, but we realize it's not going to be for quite some time. Some of Avery's family also in court. Avery's brother Earl said Monday that most of the family believes his brother is innocent, though he hasn't made up his mind. Earl Avery, one of the owners of the salvage yard, said he was frustrated that investigators damaged cars in the lot looking for evidence, and his family has lost business since his brother was charged. Let me know what you think of that last part that I just mentioned. Calumet County is leading the investigation to avoid a conflict of interest. What a thing to see printed and then realize what happened all these years later with those people that were investigating the case, looking for evidence that were not supposed to be investigating the case, and looking for evidence, people that they said had a conflict of interest with Stephen Avery because of the original crime he was wrongfully convicted for back in 1985, and those people were the ones that found all of the evidence. Coincidence? You tell me. Let me know. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you again soon.